I be forgetting that. But Dr. Jennifer Wisdom is here with us via Zoom. First of all, how you doing? How you doing this morning?
Hi, I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for first of all, thanks for coming. Thanks for coming here. And it's honestly it's awesome to see you. First off, congratulations on the release of your book,
Thank you.
Leaving Revolution. Could you tell us more about the book?
Absolutely. So I'm a lifelong leaver. I've left home, I've left jobs, I've left a partner, I've left neighborhoods, I've left everything. And one time when I was leaving, I was looking for something to write about, to read about, to learn more about leaving, and I couldn't find it. So I ended up writing it. I've interviewed over 100 people and talked to them about all aspects of leaving things in their life and put it all together to help people who may be thinking about leaving or who want to reconcile themselves to things they've left.
Now, for me, I left many things. Like I'm a native from South Jersey, so for me, leaving South Jersey to come here to Montclair State, it was kind of overwhelming at first, but when I finally accepted that, it was kind of one of those things. I was like, okay, that's kind of me. But I just want to know what was the process like for creating this book?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if you can imagine the joy and fun of reviewing every single difficult decision you've ever made in your life, that made it a bit challenging. But the good part is talking to all these different people. I asked strangers on the plane, I asked people that I knew, I asked all kinds of people, tell me about something you've left and what was that like? And it was absolutely amazing. People opened up to me about painful divorces, about leaving home, about thinking about leaving and then deciding to stay and feeling reconciled about it. It was absolutely amazing. I loved writing this book, and the time is right now for people who are leaving jobs in droves, and it's just really important time to talk about leaving because we love leaving as Americans, but we're terrible at it.
That's very true. Now, in your book, you talk about leaving relationships and how it could change your life for the better. Can you tell us exactly how that is?
Absolutely. So it's interesting on Valentine's Day to
That's
talk about
awesome.
relationships for sure. But sometimes leaving is the healthiest thing you can do. And I know from being in relationships and from staying too long that sometimes we can get in a groove, we can get comfortable. Maybe we've moved in with the person, or maybe we have kids with them, and it gets to a point where we're on autopilot. And I'm not advocating everyone just up and leave their partner. That's not what I'm saying. But I think it's really worth, and what I promote is, what is it that's important to you in life? What are your goals? Who do you want to be? What kind of a person do you want to be? And if your partner is helping you become that person and helping you be your better self, then fantastic. But if they're not, or if your goals are different, it may be worth thinking about whether it's time for a change.
And you're talking about just leaving overall relationships, and a lot of people in the world would counter by saying that leaving the relationship thing is leaving that you weren't. Let me rephrase this. Wow, let me rephrase this a little bit. A lot of people in the world would counter by saying that leaving meant you weren't willing to work hard enough in the relationship to work things out. What do you say to people like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes leaving is the healthiest thing you can do. And leaving is not failure. And again, I'm not advocating everyone just up and leave everything and no loyalty and just leave people hanging. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I think making a thoughtful decision to pursue the choices that are right for you in your life, and many times can help free up a partner or a job to find somebody who's a better fit. Sometimes that can be really positive.
And another thing on top of that, why do you think people seem to think that viewing that leaving a relationship is always a bad thing? Why do you think people have that idea, that negative connotation that they're going to that leaving is just basically giving up?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are trained from a very early age that the goal is to be partnered. And if we're not partnered, there must be something wrong with us. And again, that's not the case at all. And there are wonderful things about having a partner. And there are also wonderful things about being single and being able to figure out who you are and being able to stay up late or have cookies for breakfast or whatever you want. So there's all kinds of different ways to be in life. And I think finding the way that works for you is what I'm advocating. And many times that's with a partner, and many times that's not with a partner.
And also, oftentimes you hear stories about people waiting for the right time to end a relationship, but the next thing you know, it's been another 3 months, quarter of a year, and you still aren't happy. Is there a perfect time to ever leave a relationship?
The perfect time is when you can't not leave. And I get it. A lot of times people do stay way too long. I have stayed way too long in relationships because I was afraid, because I really cared about the person. And oh my gosh, the only thing worse than leaving a relationship because you don't like the person is still loving the person and knowing that you need to leave anyway. So finding the right time to leave, there's never a perfect time, but when you realize that you can no longer stay, you can't not leave, that's when you have to take the plunge. You have to do it.
You would say, in essence, it's basically a leap of faith. You don't know when it is, but you would say it's more of a leap of faith.
Absolutely. And that's what I talk about in the book, is around leaving is so incredibly important, and getting the confidence and getting the awareness that it's the right time, knowing that even if it doesn't turn out the way you wanted it to, leaving will have been worth it. That's when you have to go.
And similar to two questions prior, how do we end a relationship properly without it's complicated, but how would you think we should end a relationship properly without with both sides agreeing, or with both sides being happy in a sense?
Right. So in many cases, it's impossible to leave a relationship and have both person be totally happy. Even best case scenario, you still miss the other person, or you've built a life with them, or there's some adjustment. So how to leave? Have a conversation around what you need and what they need, and where are those things compatible. And if those things are 95% compatible, then great. But if you're not happy and you're not getting what you want, chances are the other person's probably not happy either. But have that conversation. And it might not be one conversation, it may be a series of conversations. Those are painful for sure. But if the goal is to be the best person you could be, then anyone who loves you is really going to support that eventually, even if it's really painful.
Now, is it possible to end a relationship but have a friendship remain afterwards? I always wanted this to see how. First of all, I'm single. I'm single, but I was
Uh,
always curious to see, is it possible for a relationship to end, but you're still friends with the other person?
that's such a great question. And no one likes to hear when they're breaking up, like, can we still be friends? That's rough. I think you can over time. And I certainly have over time, but there are definitely relationships where we can't be friends. It's just not going to work, especially if you're not the one who made the choice to end, or if someone treated you poorly in any way, from just inappropriate to aggressive. Sometimes you can't be friends, but many times you can. I mean, I think if you can be in a good space with someone, you can be in a positive relationship with them. That doesn't necessarily mean you can be friends, but it's certainly possible.
What would you say the hardest part with that? How would you go about that with the whole being friends with somebody post
Yeah,
breakup, of course?
right. I think the best way to be friends after you've broken up is to have a good breakup, which is to be honest with each other, to be clear, to be respectful of the other person, and then of course to give them time to adjust. Sometimes people break up and then 2 days later they say, well, you want to just go get coffee, or you want to hang out, or go to the bar, or go see our friends again. That's really tough, because there's still feelings in there. So giving people time, being respectful, being honest, that's the way to have a good breakup.
And today being February 14th, aka Valentine's Day, it's the biggest love day of the year. And I just want to know, what are your thoughts on Valentine's Day?
Well, I am single, so I have a Valentine's Day with my friends. But I think it's wonderful to have a day to celebrate being in love. Who doesn't love being in love? That's amazing.
Yeah.
I think the challenge is that many people who are single, or who don't have a partner, or who are unhappy, feel a sense of obligation, or they feel less than. And part of what I promote is there's not one right way to be. it really is figuring out what's important for you and how you want to move forward. And if that's being single, great. If that's going out to dinner by yourself, even on Valentine's Day, do it. That's not a problem.
I honestly don't think that's a problem either. It's just, if I honestly might consider doing that myself. Not gonna lie, but honestly, kind of tying in, you said people feel like it's an obligation, but is there more to why do you think people have a negative reaction towards Valentine's Day?
It's been built up, kind of like some other holidays or big games that just happened. I think people build it up into being the end all and be all, and you need to have everything be absolutely perfect. And if there's not roses and the fancy dinner or a proposal or whatever like that, then you feel like a failure. And that there's no sense for that. That's not about who you are as a person. That's about selling stuff. That's about capitalism. That's not about love. And if you focus on the part that's about how we're connecting with other people, how wonderful it feels to be in love, how wonderful it feels to be who you are right now, whether you're in love with someone or not, that would make a great Valentine's Day.
Now, what tips would you give people on how to enjoy Valentine's Day, being single or being in a relationship? Either there's both sides of the coin. Let's start with being single first.
Right. I would say find something that would make you happy. If what makes you happy is sitting in your pajamas, eating popcorn and watching a movie by yourself, great, do it. If that makes you happy, if it makes you happy to go out with some friends, wonderful. But the thing not to do, in my recommendation, is to sit around feeling sorry for yourself or feeling like who you are isn't enough because you're not with someone else. It's okay. Sometimes we're single, sometimes we're not single. It's okay. However you are, find something that makes you happy.
Now, for
That's
those
kind of
four,
good forever, by the
that,
way.
that,
Not
that's
just
yeah, that's more of a forever thing you would say. Now,
yeah.
for those who are fortunate enough to be in relationships on
Uh-huh.
Valentine's Day, what would you say for them? What tips would you give for them?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say no need to focus on the commercial aspect of this. Focus on how wonderful it feels to be in love. Focus on what you love about your partner, about how your partner makes you become a better person, helps you become who you are, and use it as a time to talk about your dreams together and your goals and what you want. Like, what a wonderful time to celebrate love and to talk about who you are as people.
And like your last, you being Dr. Wisdom is very fitting because you're dropping a lot of knowledge for all of us out here. But lastly, before you go, where can people find your book, and how can they get their hands on a copy of Leaving Revolution?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's available on Amazon.com and it's available where books are sold. I also have a website, leavingrevolution.com, and I have on the website a playlist of all my favorite leaving songs.
Wow.
I know,
Um,
including deciding whether to leave or not, what you do when you've left. And I'm open to suggestions.
I'll definitely keep that in mind. So, thank you, Dr. Wisdom. Of course, I hope you have a great Valentine's Day. Just enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for once again for being a part of the Morning Buzz. We truly appreciate that, and Jeff definitely enjoyed the wisdom you just dropped on us.
Thank you so much. It's a real pleasure.
We're going to head to a quick break, and ironically, the next song is "Single Ladies" by Beyonce. So.